This is me as a baby. From a completely empirical and objective perspective, I can assure you that you'll want to pinch my cheeks because all babies are cute, adorable, and charming. Call it what you want. They better be, as it's their only defense against humans. Babies cry all the time, smell bad, spit up, pee, and make a mess everywhere. They're a lot of work, taking up your time, requiring constant care, and depriving you of sleep. Did I mention how much they cry? Nowadays, we live in a society where this isn't a danger to them, but back when humans lived in small caves, evolution had to find a way to stop other tribe members from wanting to harm babies that weren't their own. It sounds harsh, I know, but that's how things worked a few thousand years ago. We can still see this in large primates, where males often kill offspring that aren't theirs. For this reason, our DNA began to include genes that made us have certain features during our infancy that differed from adults, and other genes that made adults find these features adorable and worth protecting. This was very effective because if it weren't for these cute genes, we probably wouldn't be where we are today. These features include a round, small face, big eyes and pupils, a tiny nose, a prominent forehead, a small mouth, a bit of chubbiness, and generally round features. Most of these features don't have a practical evolutionary purpose. For example, babies don't have big eyes to see better. They are just the traits that were randomly selected to help us survive our early stages. Hi there, here's a quick break in the video to tell you that while searching for images, I found a YouTube community dedicated entirely to videos of people pinching baby cheeks, with more views than many reggaeton hits. The internet is truly a fascinating place. Babies do a great job of deceiving us, but let's continue with the video. Speaking of cuteness, it can't be that Crespo hasn't appeared yet. This could be considered a type of internal selection, humans applying natural selection to themselves. It was the beginning of a long chain of successive anthropic selections on other species. For example, look at these two photos. This is my cat. Do his features look familiar? Small, round face, prominent forehead, tiny mouth, and above all, those huge eyes with giant pupils. He's also a bit chubby. Our brains confuse this and feel the same as when we see an adorable baby. And this is the unfortunate holder of the title of the world's ugliest animal, the naked mole rat. Triangular face, enormous nose, almost non-existent eyes, it's actually blind, no forehead, and so on. That's why cats and dogs, among other animals with these traits, seem adorable to us. This partly explains why they are with us today. Although their domestication was primarily because they were extremely useful, like controlling pests or helping with hunting, cuteness played an important role. Here's Evolve, an animal very similar to the ancestor of dogs. It's not as unattractive as a naked mole rat, but not nearly as adorable as dogs are. The same goes for cats. Both species were selected by humans not only for their utility, like loyalty or strength, also for how cute they were. They evolved to appeal to us. Then the Industrial Revolution came, providing humans with many resources and time, and anthropic selection in these animals skyrocketed, leading to the creation of dog breeds. In 2 centuries, we went from a single breed to dozens of very different ones. This could be considered a type of artificial genetic modification where humans selected traits that occurred due to mutations that we liked and enhanced them, resulting in animals that now look like different species. These changes aren't always beneficial, as in the case of brachycephalic syndrome in bulldogs, where the desire for increasingly round heads led to anatomy that causes breathing problems. It's like if people with asthma seemed more adorable to hypothetical aliens that domesticated us. It's amazing how in just a few years of selection, starting with one dog breed, we achieved such variety just by isolating dogs with small modifications that we kept selecting and accumulating as we wish. This is also a powerful example of how genetic drift, which drives evolution, is much faster and more effective than we might think. If such diversity in animals can appear in 200 years, Imagine what happened over millions of years with humans starting from simple unicellular organisms. But anthropic selection hasn't just been applied to animals, plants haven't escaped it either. In fact, it's been much more widespread. This is what we know today as a watermelon, which could be considered the bulldog of fruits, initially looking like this. This is a cucurbit, the species believed to be the ancestor of the watermelon, the wolf in our analogy. We can find evidence of this forced evolution by anthropic selection in works of art like this one from the 17th century, which shows a sort of missing link between the current watermelon and the fruit we cultivate. Then there's Brussels sprouts, kale, Savoy cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage, which, despite looking very different, all derive from the same species, wild cabbage. Like with dogs, we just enhance specific parts, selecting for larger leaves or more abundant flowers, resulting in these 6 varieties, which are just emphasized parts of the same plant. We also have to talk about eggplants, whose wild varieties are still found in the more remote areas of India, where they originated, just like peas or corn, which comes from teosinte, a wild grass that barely has 10 grains, which are very tough. And of course, the classic example, bananas, which still have the original variety full of seeds and almost no flesh, not as appetizing as today's bananas. Our ancestors did well to improve what nature left us. Today, genetically modified organisms, GMOs, are the modern way of doing this, allowing us to achieve the same results much more efficiently than waiting for several centuries. Speaking of bananas, let's talk about the human banana. The most amusing case of anthropic selection is often said that among all primates, the human penis is the longest in proportion to the body, but this is a myth. The length of the human penis is pretty standard. Generally speaking, size does matter, but by size, we mean thickness. What stands out about the human penis is its girth, which is unusually thick compared to other primates. Moreover, it lacks a baculum, a bone present in other primates. It's believed that females preferred penises without this bone, which gradually disappeared, as its absence allowed them to better assess the health of a man, since an erection became entirely dependent on a complex blood flow system requiring good health, especially before the days of pills. With all this in mind, we're heading into the future. Natural selection is becoming less prevalent, giving way to anthropic selection. But fortunately or unfortunately, we haven't yet applied it to humans. This, which is now a solution, will become a problem. The human species is gradually accumulating harmful genetic mutations. Most individuals with these mutations, or at least the majority, can have offspring instead of dying because medicine's goal is to keep them alive. But there will come a point when we will be too dependent on it. If we want to save ourselves, we will have to undertake the ultimate anthropic selection and enter the era of transgenic humans.